Hello there! This is the start of a series of lessons where we will talk about how a change in an environment can affect the living things that might live within that habitat. And today we're going to focus on how some living things will adapt to natural changes in their environment. That's natural changes such as day and night, such as changes in the weather, such as seasons, changes in climate, tides coming in and going out. What you usually find when there's a regular change in the environment is that the living things that try to survive there have made adaptations so that they can cope with those changes. So what I'm going to do now is start with a quick quiz. I'm going to give you a scenario and there's going to be a choice of 2 answers. And I want you to have a go at thinking about what the correct answer is and how the particular living thing has adapted to that change. Let's go. Let's start by looking at limpets. So, when the tide goes out, the limpet will stay safe from predators by either clamping tightly to a rock, and that will also stop them from drying out, or by spitting out poison. Which one do you think it is? Well, the answer is clamping tightly to a rock. If you think about it, as the tide goes in and out, the limpet doesn't want to go in and out with the tide, it wants to stay put. So that's why it clamps tightly to the rock. During winter, much of Canada is covered in snow. To hide from predators, a snowshoe hare will hibernate or change from having brown fur to white fur. Make your decision. And the answer is change from having brown fur to white fur. Okay, at night, the tulip flower will close up. Is that to stop the dew from getting the pollen wet? Or is it to protect it from frost? Which one do you think is the correct reason? Well, actually, scientists aren't really sure why it happens, but both of those theories could be a possibility. Dormice survived the cold winter by hibernating for 6 months or growing thicker fur. That's it. The answer is by hibernating for 6 months. To cope with less available food during the winter, a squirrel will fatten up over summer so it doesn't need to eat, or spend the summer and autumn storing food for the winter months. Which one do you think is the correct answer there? Okay, well the answer is spending the summer and the autumn storing food for the winter months. Okay, last question. An American bison will cool down in the summer by shading under a tree or shedding their thick brown coats. Hope you've made a decision now. And the answer is by shedding their thick brown coats. Okay, so from our little quiz you would have seen that environments change naturally all of the time, and that usually living things within an environment are able to make a whole range of adaptations so that they can survive the ever-changing conditions. Now, what I'd like you to do next is watch a short video on rock pools. The web address is underneath this picture, but there is also a direct link along with the other activities on our webpage. In the video, you will learn how living things in a rock pool environment are able to adapt and survive due to changes in the tide. Once you've watched that video, I'd like you to have a go at drawing out and completing this table. Now, as you'll see on the left hand side, all I want you to do is list some of the natural environmental changes that we've talked about today. Once you've done that, I want you to think of 1 or 2 living things in different habitats and just bullet point how they might survive the changes. So for example, changes in seasons, So it's going from warm weather to cold weather. What does the bison do? Well, it survives by developing thick brown fur. When you finish this activity, I'd just like you to watch one more quick video to end today's lesson. And I think you'll find this video quite interesting. It's about bushfires. Now, bushfires can be caused naturally, usually with lightning being the main source of the fire, or they can be caused by humans. However, when you're watching this video, I want you to think very carefully about whether the living creatures within this habitat are able to survive, or whether they need to do something else to save their lives. In our next lesson, we'll look at environmental changes due to human behaviour, and we'll have a look at how those changes affect the living things within a habitat.